What did you think about the fight?
I beat him. Everybody out there know I beat him. Everybody out there know I beat him. I controlled the fight. He was missing. I hit him clean more times. I beat him.
You averaged 8 punches. Less than 8 punches was the most punches that you had in the round, and it seemed as though you couldn't get close enough.
It already sounded like you was against me. So I already ain't got a fair shake talking to you. But let me talk something. Let me let y'all know. I want to thank the whole hood who came out here. I love y'all. I did this for the hood. Y'all know I beat that boy. Y'all know I beat that boy. What they trying to do is they trying to get that money again with Pacquiao and Floyd. But it's cool. I ain't worrying about it. I'm still that nigga, man. I'm on top. Cincinnati, stand up. West Side, 2-5.
You're 3-3-1 in your last 7 fights. What will you do next?
Hey, I'm 3-3-1 in my last 7, but I'll be 7-0 against you.
Well, that wouldn't mean much. That's the end of this interview.
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling 2 fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
So he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please? Just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber! Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man.
No, you won the fight.
OMG, I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube. Smash the like button, share the show, subscribe, listen on podcast form, drop that 5-star review, and head over to patreon.com/mixedcombat to help support the channel any financial way. I am Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Obviously, it is a review day. Pacquiao, Broner, Andrade versus Akavov, Bryant Jennings getting up the huge upset loss, and Oscar Rivas now a heavyweight contender. A lot to get to, a lot to discuss, and plus the news of the day and the weekend. Call in 323-870-4051. If you are international, there's several ways to call in now. Yes, it's here. You can call in via Skype now. Just add Mixed Combat Radio. You have to add that first, and then you can call in. Also, the free international permanent call-in link that you can get via email is also there. And I will admit that that's probably the best sound quality you can get, just to be honest, on the call. But digress from all that, I'm joined today, as always, by Mr. Robbie Hearns himself. Rob, how are you doing this fine Monday evening over there? Afternoon over here. How you doing?
All good. Back from work, getting the show together, finding the topics to talk about. Got some good people in the chat. Ready to go, man.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, again, we're probably going to start with the fights this week and get into the news. The news of the day is going to be kind of an interesting sort of, segment of the show, I should say, because I think me and Rob are going to disagree heavily about Tyson Fury, AJ, Wilder, what's really going to happen amongst those three, and how we just keep getting more and more talking points, in my opinion, from everyone involved. But let's get to the fights this weekend. Again, call in at any time. I'll go to your calls. Santiago, I see you. Jose, I see you. Guys, press 1 when you guys want to jump in the queue. And I'll go to you after we get through the fights, and then I'll go to you guys again if you want after the news. But Adrien Broner, obviously, I mean, the controversial loss, Rob, as he said. Losing, air quotes, to Manny Pacquiao. Is that the truth? I don't know. Yeah, but let's be honest. Manny Pacquiao arguably won every single round of that fight. He dominated in exactly the fashion we all thought he would. With combinations, with being a better technician, and I argue at this point still being the better athlete of the two. There was, I would say, 0 moments in the fight where I was like, oh, yep, Adrien Broner's turning it around. He's going to win. Nope. That was not the case. What happens next for Manny Pacquiao? I don't know. But Rob, your thoughts on the fight itself? I mean, was it eerily too predictable as the fight went on?
Yeah, it seemed to fall into a pattern. Although, you know, from what we're hearing, it does appear that there was a robbery this weekend involving Pacquiao, but it was just his LA residence. I think his house was robbed while he was away fighting. But yeah, the fight itself, I mean, I called a Pacquiao unanimous decision. I didn't feel Pacquiao would stop him, but I just didn't feel Broner would, as we're used to, let his hands go and try to even win the fight. I don't know. Part of me thinks this is Adrien Broner trolling all this post-fight stuff. Whether he's, you know, people are going to tune in next time to hope, you know, hoping to see him lose again or even get knocked out. I don't know. Or whether he genuinely does think he won it, because he climbed the ropes. He was pumping the chest at the end of the fight.
He was serious. He was
in the 12th round.
No, I know people are like really concerned, like, oh, was he serious? No, he was dead serious. And even if he wasn't, he's going to tell himself enough times to make himself think at some point that he was serious. You know, like look, I mean, it is Broner. He is one of the most, what's the term? One of the most loud personalities in the sport. He would do something that lambastic, but, I mean, he is also the type of person to believe he won a fight where he lost every round. I bet we can go back. I mean, I don't remember it, to be honest, but I bet we can go back and find the post-fight interview of the Sean Porter fight. I bet he thought he won that fight too. Right? Like, honestly, like that wouldn't be surprising if we can pull up that audio magically and be like, yep, it's Broner saying it here in this fight. We'd be like, yep, that's true. And all of the losses he's had, I think he's probably thought he won them. So,
yeah. I mean, the one that you could say he's got a case was the real close one with Jesse Vargas just recently. You could say, yeah, it's a draw. So either guy's going to say, no, I won that. No, fuck you, I won that. You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, Broner, I mean, I've watched it back with audio. I think it was in like the 11th. He was like, did I win that round? And Kevin Cunningham's like, yep. Yeah, you won that one. Whether he needs to say, but you lost the previous 10. So do you want to try and knock fucking Pacquiao out? Or do you know what I mean? It's like it's weird. And apparently, looking at the stats, he landed one punch in the 12th round. I seem to remember him, you know, running.
He landed 3 body punches in 36 minutes of action. 3.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for his toughness, another fighter in front of Pacquiao that night, that left hand that right in the chin, and staggered him right across the ring, I think that would have been someone getting counted out, or you know, a big 10-8 round at least. But you know, Broner, to his credit, is a tough guy, and whether he has issues as far as how he sees fights going, that he's landing clean shots and this, that, and the other. I mean, Jim Gray absolutely owned him. He's like, you know, you average like 8.
No, that's not what he said. I can play the audio again, but I won't, just because of maybe copyright reasons. But he literally said the highest punch landed, like the amount of punches he landed per round, was 8.
Yeah. And then he went into your 3-1 for your last 7. He's like, I'll be 7-0 against you. And just Jim Gray was just like, yeah, that doesn't mean much. Anyway, that's the end of that interview.
Loved it.
If Jim Gray could have just done a mic drop and like dabbed or some shit, gone old school, you know, an old man doing a dab or some shit, that'd have been epic. And apparently, I don't know how true it is, whether someone's just on a tweet and it was a joke or it actually happened. He basically said, damn, he even lost the interview, like shouted out from ringside or something. So if that's true, and I hope it is, shout out to that guy. That's a great line to.
That is because he did lose the interview. And definitely hold on. Definitely go back. We don't need to talk about the interview anymore because we talked about it a lot yesterday on Boxing Banter episode 3 on patreon.com/MixedHelmetRadio, where we literally made fun of Adrien Broner for a good 30 minutes. It was hilarious. It was a great show. But digressing from that, what is next for Pacquiao? I mean, that is I think the biggest question of the day. I think for Broner, his star power, his relevance in terms of just viewership will always get in the big fights. I can definitely see him fighting Danny Garcia in the next 12 months. and that would be his next big fight he gets after a tune-up or two. And that's just the Adrien Broner route. He's 29 years old. He can do this for another 10 years because this hustle that he has sort of made against the boxing fans is working, and it will still work. For Manny Pacquiao, obviously, I think people are just connecting him with Mayweather, mainly due to that was talked about on the telecast ad nauseum. That was talked about by Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather sort of ad nauseum on the telecast until they got time to do a post-fight interview. I'm still of the mindset that is the most realistic, probable outcome, that we get a Mayweather-Pacquiao fight sometime in the next 6 months. When that is, God knows, because now we have Canelo Jacobs official for Cinco de Mayo. Again, God knows how that plays out. But honestly, I'll say this. Pacquiao, it's going to sound weird because it's off a Broner win, but we need to start looking back on like the Pacquiao of the last 3 or 4 years, and he is still a top contender and top face of the division, in my opinion. He may not beat a Spence, Crawford, Thurman, but he might give a Sean Porter some issues because of just the technical discrepancy. I know Sean Porter, because of his aggressiveness, would obviously have some issues for Manny Pacquiao, but Manny Pacquiao is usually the more aggressive guy. Manny Pacquiao is usually the guy landing combinations, and because of him being a southpaw and being just a better boxer, that's an interesting matchup. And I think Manny Pacquiao beats Danny Garcia, right? I think he beats Lamont Peterson. I think in a Jeff Horn rematch, he might give Jeff Horn some work. Like Manny Pacquiao, I think is still a relevant player at 147, and I think that is kind of crazy to think about, but I think it's sort of true. Even Mikey Garcia, even Jesse Vargas, guys that we've talked about that are fighting in this space at 147 now, they were not that dominant against Adrien Broner. They weren't. Manny Pacquiao was dominant every second of that fight. Just something to think about. That I know Pacquiao is linked to Mayweather, but I would also be extremely excited for Pacquiao Thurman, Pacquiao Danny, Pacquiao Sean Porter. I would be equally excited for all of those fights. And I think they're also sellable fights at this point. It's not like they're trying to sacrifice Pacquiao to these guys. I think Pacquiao is still a relevant contender, especially when you look at the division.
Yeah, I mean, I found it interesting from what I've seen, and maybe it's just the money that would perhaps be attached to it, the fact that it'll probably be a pay-per-view. But a lot of the top guys are like, I'll fight him. You know, I think Porter said, I definitely, whether they watched it and felt this isn't the pack, whether people are raving about him, but they maybe saw something that, he's not quite what he was. And, do you need to be that much of what you were to beat a Broner at this point? Who knows? But it'd be interesting just to see where he goes. I remember PBC when they sort of announced that Pacquiao had joined, that he had that image, and it was like, I can't remember who was on it, but there was almost, people surmised that it was some kind of wish list. Like, this is the order of play, like who's on the list. But,
it was the graphic with him and like all the relevant PBC 147 pounders.
Yeah. So whether that's going to play out and that's actually the route, but it's interesting, and I don't want to keep talking about him too much, but I mean, what does Broner do from this point?
Again, I mean, he could go fight. Well, it depends where he wants to go. If he wants to sort of be at 144 and sort of try to be catchweight guy, Lamont Peterson is a viable guy that could be a good, sort of co-main event, or honestly a main event at this point. It could definitely main event at FS1 or a Showtime card. Adrien Broner versus. Let me look up the current welterweight division, because again, like, none of the guys at the top he beats, right? But it's all about getting him back towards those guys for a big paycheck. So he has just to beat one or two guys that could be anyone in that division. It could be a Brandon Rios. I know he's on DAZN right now. It could be Mike Alvarado, like that level of an opponent. Brandon bring up Hank Lundy. I mean, I could definitely see Broner bringing up Hank Lundy to 140 or 144 and bring on that fight. James Parker saying Josh Kelly on DAZN. Although I would love that fight, it doesn't happen. It's not realistic.
I mean, if we're talking DAZN, would he want another crack at Jesse Vargas? But is it going to happen? I don't think so.
I'm always in the mindset that unless the rematch kind of like is like wanted, we don't need a rematch like of fights.
No,
You know
I know, yeah. But as far as between the two fighters, and I don't see
it's a relevant fight. Like in terms of just like marketing standpoint, in terms of like relevancy in the division, ranking, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong, but for me, from a personal standpoint, I'd rather watch a lot of the fights that I mentioned before I watch a rematch with Jesse Vargas because
for sure.
Yeah.
And anyway, I don't see Showtime letting one of their main viewing pulling stars drift over to DAZN for a fight. I don't see that. No. So I guess we can cut that.
Josesito Lopez fighting Keith Thurman next week or this week. I mean, that could, the loser of that fight could be an Adrien Broner opponent coming up, which would probably be Lopez. There's a lot you can do with Broner still. Like it's not the sad part. It's the weird part about Broner's career is that because of his star power, he can be a B-level guy, and that's his ceiling. We know he's just a B-level guy, but still get A-level treatment, A-level telecast time, because it is Adrien Broner.
Yeah, and I'll say this now for Gary, but you're talking Thurman, Lopez. Let's just get that fight actually done.
Oh, shut up! It's happening. Shut up. We're moving on. We're moving on.
And he gets out of it injury-free. He doesn't need some surgery afterwards, and just to add to the chronicles of Thurman as far as Gary's
chronicles. Anyways, any last thoughts about Pacquiao and Broner?
Yeah, I'll be interested on the numbers.
Of course. Very quickly, I think it probably did more than 500,000.
You think it done more than 500?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know.
I use this as a gauge. I purely use, and it's a very anecdotal gauge right now. It's not a statistical one at all. I listen to one podcast on the regular that is not boxing, and that's not politics. I listen to a lot of political podcasts, but it's it's hip hop, pop culture, and they've talked about in this year Canelo Triple G, Mayweather versus Tenshin Nasukawa, Conor McGregor versus that Russian guy. That's how they call it, Khabib, and this one. In the last 12 months, those are the fights they talked about. Oh, and Wilder, Tyson Fury. So those are the fights that, in my opinion, have sort of piqued the casual mindset. So it's done at least over 400,000 in my mind. It's doing 500, 600,000 from what I'm thinking. It's Manny Pacquiao, quote unquote, back. Adrien Broner. It's sellable. It had the Showtime machine behind it in full force. Not only that, Fox was promoting it. Like that's the crazy. Like PBC is able to angle this relationship with Fox and Showtime to make those two networks promote for each other. That's crazy. We haven't seen that in combat sports, really. We've seen it in other sports because they have to, like the NFL, NBA, Premier League. There's games spread out across multiple networks, right? So they have to sort of do that. It's the norm. Combat sports, it isn't. So to see Fox, big Fox, heavily promoting a Showtime pay-per-view, yeah, it did 500, 600,000 in my opinion.
If it does less than 500,000, is that a failure? Well,
No.
not a failure, but not that good.
If it does below 400, I would say it's not a failure, but they definitely didn't break even, 100%. If it's 400 or up, they're in the money, guaranteed.
Yeah, because obviously the guaranteed purse for Pacquiao was like 10 million, right? So
Yes.
they need.
And Broner was
Fury one. The Wilder Fury, obviously they had smaller initial purses, so that didn't need to do as many numbers to get that break-even numbers.
Absolutely. And Broner, I think, was paid like $2.5 million guaranteed. But both have been reported to, I think Keith Hedek or it was Mike Coppinger, one of those two, wrote an article about it, and they said Pacquiao was probably going to get around $20 million and Broner around $5 million. So that makes sense.
Which he's already happy. Instagram post yesterday was, I will be world champion again. I'll be back in the gym. But right now, I'm just going to go and start spending those M's. # still winning. So happy about the money. I think that's where we stand with Adrien Broner's career right now.
I mean, I think we've known that for some time. And if you haven't realized that for some time, you've been hustled. Like, you have bought the grift of Adrien Broner. Congratulations, you played yourself. Moving on, co-main event, Marcus Brown versus Badou Jack, a fight that I was absolutely surprised by. I mean, I thought Marcus Brown could win it, don't get me wrong. But talking about dominance, he arguably won every round as well. And obviously the cut on Badou Jack's forehead that was literally from his scalp to his nose was horrific. I mean, definitely painted everyone bloody in that fight. But beside that, I mean, Marcus Brown, I mean, highly impressive in this performance. His ability to snipe Badou Jack at range with that left hand, unload combinations, go to the body at will, and always sort of be at his range. You know, he was always comfortable. You know, it was definitely Badou Jack trying to get in his range consistently and constantly, and Marcus Brown adjusting to that and dealing with it and punishing Badou Jack every time he tried to do that. It definitely, I think, put Marcus Brown now in the conversation with the champions. And now we have to talk about him potentially being competitive or beating Artur Akavov, Alexander Volosjic, Dimitri Bivol, Eddie Alvarez, Sergey Kovalev winner. Marcus Brown is now with those names. He may not beat all of them, but he's definitely going to beat some of them. You don't dominate Badou Jack in that fashion, and you aren't truly elite. Now, obviously, he has some legal issues throughout the last 12 months or so. That's been, I think, a big deterrent to his growth, not only as a fighter, but as a sort of figure, public figure in a way, right? Hopefully that gets corrected. Hopefully he learned from the shit he's been pulling, because he is a great fighter, and I really want to see him continue to be great, because he's exciting. Like, fights with Bivol, Beterbiev, Eddie Alvarez, those are mouth-watering matchups, truly. Those aren't fights that are big. Those aren't fights that are massive, that are going to do huge pay-per-view buy rates or viewership, but those are great fights. And Marcus Brown showed us he's a great fighter. Rob, your thoughts on this fight, and obviously the Crimson Mask that Badou Jack had.
Oh man, that was horrible. You know, it was. Yeah, I can't think of a cut in recent memory that was like his entire face was just covered in blood and like thick. It was deep as hell, and from what I can make out, is I don't know, like 30 stitches. It looked like, I think I counted, so 25, 30 stitches. And we said in the live fight, it was like his corner was almost like pulling it apart and poking his finger in it. I don't know. He was like fascinated by it. He was like, maybe cut men are just, you know, a little bit weird. It's like, oh, that is a cut. Let me have a look at that shit. I was like, just, I mean, there was someone, I saw a tweet saying the cut man's done a terrible job. It must have been sarcasm, because what the fuck are you supposed to do that? Like,
yeah, there's not much you can do there, honestly. That cut opened up and it was big from the beginning, and it only would get bigger. I mean, Marcus Brown was hitting that forehead at will with that jab with the left hand. Like, it was gonna get pulled open regardless. There's nothing a cut man can do about that sort of cut. And luckily, because of the placement, it sort of just run to the side of his nose and got up. Now, obviously, because of the punching, it would get in his eyes and stuff. It would get smeared. He would smear it himself, right? But it wouldn't naturally pour into his eyes. So he was lucky in that aspect. But otherwise, he was unlucky because he got his ass kicked for 12 rounds. And now I think we're sort of questioning, how much does Badou Jack have left? A guy that's had really tough fights as of late in the last few years. A guy that is older. This has seemed like the last leg of his career. Should he go back to 168? Should he stay at 175? There's just a lot of question marks about Badou Jack now moving forward. If this was a competitive, close fight, it would be different, right? Like, our perception of, I think, both guys would be different. But it's not. It was a dominant 12-round decision where I think, again, Marcus Brown won every single round of that fight.
Yeah, I like Mikey T in the chat. The Crimson Mask, that should be his new name. Laugh out loud. Badou, the Crimson Mask, Jack.
Mr. Bjorn adding just the stat to it. Badou Jack is 35 years old. Yeah, I mean, that is...
Yeah, that's telling. Yeah.
That is. I mean, once you hit 33, 35, you're on that last leg. You just are.
Yeah, and like moving up this late in your career to 175, I don't know. I think that's found him out a little bit. These guys are hitting just that little bit harder, you know. you know, and he had some tough fights at 168, I want to say as well, really, you know. But I always felt, you know, I just feel like I can't see someone similar to Broner, someone really putting Baddy Jack away, like knockout or anything like that. And he got that cut in like the 7th round. So there's 5 rounds of him getting jabbed and punched in that cut. And I mean, true warrior, but I think he's going to have to take a little look and see, you know, just is his heart really in it? But I'm not saying his heart, like, but is it time to just maybe hang up the gloves or something? Because, like you say, just recently, fights have seemed a lot harder for Baddy Jack than we expected. You know, I picked Jack for this. I thought I'd seen a bit of Marcus Brown. I was never really like massively blown away by the guy, but he schooled and absolutely punished Baddy Jack and with the cut and everything. That was almost like a hard watch. As much as Marcus Brown was on point and it was a great display, just part of you was like, oh dear God, right.
Yeah, you did almost kind of want it to be stopped at some point, just because, like, Baddy Jack, I mean, talking about like durability factor with Broner, right? Baddy Jack was taking those shots well. Like, he was never at one point like seriously hurt, but he was just taking hard shots to the body, hard shots up top throughout. Like, it was a punishing fight, even though, you know, maybe without the cut, it wouldn't have looked as punishing, right? Because we have the visual of that cut, the blood. But let's say, you know, imagine there's no cut there, there's no blood. Baddy Jack wasn't swelled up. You know what I mean? Like, he probably would have looked, you know, relatively fine after the fight, but it still would have been a highly punishing fight. Maybe the cut is sort of playing into our perception of the fight, so to speak. Moving on, obviously, I think at the night of the fight, it was talked about, obviously, him being the mandatory to Alexander Vajic. The WBC has then, in the last couple of days or last day, come out and said that Vajic will be allowed a voluntary defense, and then Marcus Brown would be the mandatory. So if you're playing matchmaker, Rob, who do you want to see Marcus Brown face next? If it's not, obviously, Vajic. Do you try to poach like a Sullivan Barrera? You know, do you try to poach somebody of that nature, that stature?
Yeah, I think that's another good name to go into. What a voluntary the next fight before looking to really go after the division, like full on attack. But that, I mean, the Baddy Jack, that's a statement. And the performance was a complete statement. That's almost like
he doesn't need to. Like, he doesn't need to fight, honestly. Like, if he wants to take 6 months off and just train and wait for Vajic to fight some voluntary defense, he could absolutely do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think, like I say, that's almost put the division on notice. Like, you know, a lot of people probably thought Baddy Jack was going to be a player in the division, you know, like, and he's just absolutely destroyed him pretty much. So,
and let's also not forget that. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but that now that Better Beef is at ESPN in some sort of, I think it was a 3-fight deal, right? Something of that nature. You know, Vajic has some options now, and unfortunately, Brown is on the other side of the block, as we keep saying.
He's like going to be the Charlo or something of the, you know what I mean? Everyone else elsewhere, and
hopefully, though, I mean, because Jamal Charlo was whatever it is, a mandatory to Canelo, right? So that's always going to be harder to get that mandatory shot because the sanctioning body is always going to bend towards Canelo's side. With this situation, it's Vajic. Like, does the sanctioning body really give two shits about Vajic as much as Marcus Brown, or is it the same person in their mind? Is it the same amount of money, regardless? You know what I mean? Like, when Charlo wins that belt off of Canelo, their sanctioning fee is going to dip from a Canelo fight. It just will. Like, it's a loss of revenue in their mind. With a Brown winning against Vajic, is it a loss of revenue? Probably not. But it's just, knowing Bob Arum, knowing how Top Rank works, they could sort of push both those fights back past an expiration date that we don't want. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Because all those guys at 175 right now, you put them in a round-robin tournament, and we have some great fight of the year potentials there, in my opinion. Any last thoughts about Marcus Brown, Baddy Jack, before we move on?
No, I'm good. We can keep it going.
Coach Mitty, good friend of the show, obviously a French national, now has somebody to look up to. As he is starting to, his fighting career. He has now a French champion to look at and to idolize, Nordine Oubaali. In a relatively big upset win, I should say, over Rashid Warren. A competitive fight, a really close fight. And really the only difference that I had Oubaali winning, was that he was able to capitalize on exchanges a little bit better than Rashid Warren. Both guys being southpaws, Oubaali was able to land that left hand a little bit more at will. He was able to land the flashier combinations. And Rashid Warren, similar to when we talk about Andrade in the next show, or the next sort of segment of the show, he was too content to be methodical. Like, there was times I would want him to throw in combination, to be a little more active. And when he did, he was successful. He was winning. But then he would stick to his jab, stick to the bike, and try to box. And Oubaali was just landing that overhand left time and time again. And any judge is going to rate that left hand over a jab. They just will, especially at this level. You're not a Mayweather where you get that name cachet where the judges are looking for that more in that way. And even though I think it was a very close competitive fight, Oubaali was impressive. Can't wait to see what's next for him. And also just what's next for either guy. These two guys are sort of out of the World Boxing Super Series tournament, so they have to wait till that resolves itself. But I mean, Oubaali versus Inoue, Oubaali versus Nonito Donaire, Ryan Burnett, or even Rashid Warren against a Ryan Burnett. I mean, two guys that recently lost, not in the tournament. I would absolutely love a Rashid Warren versus Ryan Burnett fight, right? Like, that would be a fantastic matchup. There's a lot you could do here, even with Rashid Warren, but Nordine Oubaali, new French champion. I think the only French champion in the world right now. Salute to him. Did you see this fight by chance, Rob?
I've seen bits and pieces. I was all trying to catch up as and when I could, but I sort of caught up with it as well, like live sort of chat commentary sort of thing. A lot of people will say like Warren started good and sort of built up a bit of a lead, and then Oubaali just seemed to sort of catch him and then pull away. And you speak of Coach Middy, friend of the show or whatever. He actually hung with the team afterwards, I think, a little bit.
Of course he did. Of course. You know why? Because Coach Middy was probably the only French guy that was there, right?
Yeah, so he managed to hook up with those just for a brief time, I think. But yeah, I mean, I believe didn't they face off in the amateurs or something before?
Yeah, something like that.
Some story of this. But yeah, there was a lot of hype behind Rashid Warren to a point.
A couple of years ago, more so, obviously.
Yeah, and that's I don't know quite what the odds were, but it seemed a bit of an upset. So yeah, shout out to France and your world champion.
Undefeated world champion, 15-0 now with the belt.
Yeah.
He could be a player in some way, or maybe he loses to Inoue and we never hear from him again. Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, yeah, but kind of these sort of stories are, it's good.
We've had several. Sorry, I don't mean cut off, but we've had several of these like unknown guys come out of nowhere in the last like 12, 18 months. I feel like. And pull off huge upsets. I mean, Isaac Dogbe was kind of the first one, and then he got upset against Emmanuel Navarrete. Nordine Oubaali. There's some others I'm forgetting right now, but Edler Alvarez in some capacity against Sergey Kovalev. There's a lot of upsets as of late, which is just interesting.
It's good. It's good. I think,
Jorge Linares, which we're going to talk about later. We've had some relatively unknown guys pull off some big wins as of late. So shout out to Oubaali. You ready to talk about this DAZN card? You ready to move over?
Yeah, we can move. Yeah.
Unless you have anything else to talk about the Showtime pay-per-view at all. ITV4 free event.
Yeah, no, that's it's looks like we're picking up pretty much. I really don't think we're going to be expected to pay. Maybe if Mayweather Pacquiao gets made, ITV will do pay-per-view for that. But I think we're going to get like your Spence Garcia. It looks like we probably get that for free, and all that. I don't know. So yeah, shout out. It's been that's great. Obviously for us.
Bullshit.
obviously we've got to deal with that time difference, but it's all.
Yeah, but come on, it's 2019. You hit record, right?
No. I'm saying if you want to be up when Twitter's going off and things like that, and you want to catch it live and be a part of the whole shitting on people with Twitter or not, or hyping and
slight rabbit hole. I mean, slight rabbit hole. I mean, we have time. I mean, we really don't actually, but we have time. Do you think it's like possible? I saw somebody, I forget who it was, like somebody that I really like and I follow in the media sphere, right? And they sort of posed the question, like, is it possible in today's age to be a hardcore fight fan and not be actively involved in like boxing Twitter or MMA Twitter? To not like experience that?
I don't know. I don't think
I was
so.
curious about that. I don't think so anymore. I think like as a hardcore fan, you need to be at least aware of boxing Twitter and like aware of like the lingo, the culture of that in some aspect. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would love people in the chat to like, you know, mention like what you think about that, because I would assume everyone in this chat is a hardcore fan, obviously. So are you guys like actively tied to boxing social media and that sphere, that bubble? Because it is a culture in and of itself. In the mid early 2000s, it was the forum culture, right? Like internet forums and stuff like that. Yeah. Now it's social media that's sort of taken over. So just curious about that. Just throwing that idea out there. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's brought the people out like Wilder Fury negotiations, right? Wilder Joshua negotiations. Everyone has had their say on that. But like you say, I think people have caught onto how much boxers use social media now, so they can see like a beef developing, like and shit like that. So if you really want your finger on the pulse as far as, you know, the fights, you know, sometimes these fighters are atting each other and they're going back and forth, or news is breaking. Obviously, people follow the relevant sources in the sport, so they get that sort of almost breaking news and the update. Well, what's happening with this fight? Is that getting made, or where's that going to be held? And so I think a good vast percentage of them are keeping their eye on you know, the boxing sort of social media world, because I think you have to, otherwise you're way out the loop.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not, I feel like you are in some way a casual. I mean, Real Niagara in the chat, obviously a huge Patreon supporter in front of the show, saying, I'm not a hardcore fan, but I keep up on Insta. I'm not a big fan of Twitter. I think that you sort of you explain my exact theory. Like, you aren't a fan of boxing Twitter. You're not actively involved in it in any way. But in conjunction with, maybe in direct correlation with that, you are not a hardcore fan in your own eyes. Maybe if you were on boxing Twitter all the time, would you be a hardcore fan? That's sort of the question I have. But anyways, there's some, you know, I've been on some Anthony Fowler's CBD, you know, so like, you know, just how it is. You know, I've been all over the place today. Really, Rob? No chuckle? No smile? Nothing?
I was on the chat. Sorry.
Oh, so you didn't hear my great joke? Really?
No. Do you want to play it back?
I will actually, because it was really good.
Let me get in the zone. No, pretend it was and this isn't all built up.
Sorry, guys. I've been all over the place today. I've been on that good Anthony Fowler CBD.
Okay.
Right, there you go. Yes.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Rob tried some Anthony Fowler CBD, and now he's officially a stoner. I just want everyone to know that.
Apparently, that qualifies me.
Absolutely. It's factual now.
Absolutely smashed out my brains.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
No, maybe tell your cousin Eddie, man. He's going to be upset with you.
I keep getting some like paranoia, like someone's coming in and shit.
That's the CBD talking.
Man, and you know, I've got some, you know, got some stuff here to nibble on, you know, in case I get a little pecky.
Get a little munchies. That's okay, man. Let's get to the DAZN card. Speaking of Eddie Hearn and Matchroom USA, Demetrius Andrade defeating Artur Akavov in a complete Demetrius Andrade-like performance. God, this one was tough to get through, I'll be honest. And it's not a aspect of Demetrius Andrade not being talented. He's obviously a talented boxer. He dominated every round. I'm a kid saying CBD doesn't get you high. I'm confused. I'm a kid. That's the joke. And anyway, it's digressing. That's the point of the joke. Andrade, I mean, he was dominating with the jab, was in and out, controlled the range, but at no point did he ever like go out of first gear even. Like at no point did he ever seem like he He was trying to get the finish that, and he could. Like, there was definitely moments I was like, okay, you can jump on it now. You can jump on it now. Like, you can up the pace, up the volume, and you can get him out of here. Or even just put on a better performance. I know Akavov has some decent power, and he was landing some good counters occasionally on Andrade. Maybe that concerned him. But in all honesty, I thought Andrade was dominant. I thought he could easily step it up, and he didn't. And I don't know why. I don't know why that is, but it is just a common occurrence now with Andrade performance that he doesn't get out first or second gear. For some reason, he can't. He struggles with that. And even though the stoppage was horrible, I will definitely admit that. Paul Abb in the chat saying the stoppage was bad. It was. It was a very bad stoppage in the 12th round. But it was also, I would say, not the greatest performance from Andrade. It was a dominant one, but it wasn't a great one. And those two things aren't always the same thing.
No, I agree. There's dominating someone and there's doing it in a certain fashion, but there's also dominating someone and making people, want to, find fast forward. If, oh shit, is this going 12 really? You just want him to, like you say, have that killer instinct, have that, just put this guy out of his misery, I saw some people say, like, I think maybe the ref needed a bathroom break. And like, fuck it, 30 seconds left in the round. That'll do. He landed like a 1-2 or something. Whoa, stop the fight. And the ref had gone. He was out the back, he was desperate for the toilet or something. But no, I feel the same thing. I think there's no doubt in my mind that Andrade has got all the skills. He's talented. But if this is ever his time to shine, he's on DAZN, which maybe isn't the biggest platform at the moment as far as eyeballs, but he's got Canelo in his division. He's got all the bouts are in that division. If any time, you could make a push and put yourself in the shop window for a big money fight, a unification fight. And to me, by the sounds of it, it's looking like the WBO are going to install Billy Joe Saunders as mandatory. Now, in a way, sort of Andrade sort of sidestepped that fight. That was going to be like, holy shit, he's coming back. He's signed with his own first fight, Billy Joe Saunders, the slick, super boxer that Billy Joe is. Is that really what you want to do first? First stab at it is Billy Joe Saunders. Wow. I was looking forward to it, and now I think they were hoping, let's try and get a big fight in before Billy Joe Saunders gets reinstalled as, but I don't know. I feel the same way that Andrade, he was kind of in the the shop window, so to speak, that people could come and see Andrade put on this performance and really, it's fine dominating, but at some point put the guy out, like jab his head off. Like people will say, did you see? He set it up really well. He's on the jab, he's moving, he was doing this, he was doing that, and then the setup for the knockout. Wow. But he just jabbed his head off all night. That's great, but it's not.
It would be great if the opponent was great. Like, that's the thing. That's why, like, we rate, for example, the Marcus.
Sure,
yeah. But just for the layman, like, they may not understand like why we differentiate like a Marcus Brown dominant win, which maybe wasn't the most exciting win, with that being a great win, a great performance, because the level of opponent he fought and performed like that against is impressive, is great. Demetrius Andrade dominating Artur Akavov is one of the least impressive things I've ever seen in my life. Honestly. Like, that's assumed. Honestly. Like, and it's the same thing with the Walter Katrandoka fight. Like, he's had relative tune-ups, showcases, and he is not making these fights look like showcases. He isn't. And I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if it's a training. I don't know if it's a coaching issue, but there is definitely is an issue with his execution, whatever that may be. And if it's not that, if it's a game plan issue, maybe the game plan was just to do that against Akavov. That's an issue as well. His team and his coach should know, hey, this is the type of opponent we need to get out of here. You're main eventing on a card that no one cares about. You need to go put on a knockout performance, so that's what's trending. That's what goes viral. You need that. And a coach should know that. His manager should know that. Like, you should have those internal discussions as a team. You just should, honestly.
Oh, for sure. I mean, DAZN are picking up steam as far as, their social media is really picking up. The numbers are, growing all the time. And if they had a highlight reel knockout of Andrade, smearing some guy out completely out of there, out cold, sprawled amongst the ropes, then, that, like you say, can maybe go a little bit mini boxing viral. And it's, again, looking good for DAZN. It's looking good for Andrade. It's looking good for so many reasons. But back to, like, boxing someone's head off, jabbing someone's head off, like you said, if he does that to Billy Joe Saunders.
Oh, yeah. I mean, wow, right? Like, wow. Holy shit. But he did to Artur Akavov.
Saunders got, Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders. That you'd be like, holy shit. But yeah, he did it against Akavov. I know people say, but Billy Joe Saunders struggled to get, just missed me with that bullshit. It's just one of those Billy Joe Saunders performances that kind of happened at times. But a fully focused Billy Joe Saunders is a world of trouble for anyone, So yeah, Andrade, I don't know what it is, but go and find your killer instinct, because you need to start dismissing these kind of guys if you want people to really believe in you if you do get one of the big fights, So that's just my thoughts on it.
I agree. We can move on because we do have to sort of move up for time.
In the chat, get the fuck out of here.
That was funny, right? That was good.
I never tried meth. Are you sure?
The best part is that, like, there's people in the chat. I don't know if they're, like, trying to troll us trolling about the whole CBD thing. And them saying, like, yo, guys, CBD doesn't get you high. It's like, yes, we know that, motherfuckers. Like, that's the point of the joke. But God, I love boxing YouTube. Such great people. Jorge Linares, not meaning such a great person, because Pablo Cesar Cano beat that ass in one round. Oh my God, holy shit. I'm not going to go at, a lot with this topic or this fight because there's not much to say. Jorge Linares might want to hang it up or move back to 135. That's basically all I'm going to say, because Cano, is he now a contender at 140? I don't know. This is a weird fight. It was 3 knockdowns. Fight was over in 1 round. Yeah, it's not looking good for Linares. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about that one. Rob?
Yeah, it was it was shock. They cut to Maurice Hooker in the crowd, who was supposedly, that's the reason he was there, because they were looking at the Linares fight. And the next thing, he's down on the floor 3 times and out of there, right, within 3 minutes. So it's like Hooker, who had the big, mouth open, like, holy shit, what just happened face. But
what's the line? Is it from Mice and Men? Like, all the best laid plans of Mice and Men? Like, isn't that a
yeah,
quote, right?
That should be something that people that read.
Oh,
know.
see, okay,
I'm very.
Well, it's basically about, like, hey, like, the best plans, air quotes, are the ones made by man, because they never actually come to fruition. That's what happened here. Linares, they obviously planned for him to do a lot of things on DAZN. That's going back to boxing Azteca TV in Mexico or something. Maybe go back to Venezuela. God knows what's happening with that guy, man. But he's done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Ashley Theophane said, I'm not surprised by this at all. I thought Cano, and he's the hardest puncher I've ever faced. And I've been in with Danny Garcia, and I can't remember the other guy he said, but he wasn't surprised by it. But wasn't Cano like a plus 3,500?
It was something huge like that, yeah.
Win. So whatever it would have been for knockout, holy shit, if someone landed that.
And first round knockout.
Yeah, if someone landed that bad boy, then congratulations. A top tier Patreon you should be signed up for. But damn, that was crazy. But yeah, we can move on. I don't know what Linares does from here. I said after the Loma fight, he should probably hang him up. That's looking like a decision.
Agreed. TJ Doheny defeating Rohai Takashi via TKO in the 11th round. Really good back and forth fight. Doheny looking a little bit open at times, like a little bit hittable at times. But I mean, he obviously got the win. I think he put on the better work. Obviously, was a little bit more active inside, a little more active in the combinations, and also he was winning most of the exchanges. And I believe is basically all but official. He will be fighting Daniel Roman in a unification on DAZN. Cannot wait for that fight. That should be an all action bloody affair, which is my type of fight. Thoughts on this fight, Rob?
Yeah, I thought, like you say, did get caught a bit, but going into it, I knew the opponent was going to be a tough opponent. This was a tough first defense in some regard,
Yes.
but I believe it's sort of signed, sealed, and delivered that Doheny and Danny Roman are going to meet. I think it's going to be in LA, Matt. So get hyped. I don't know if you're going to be there. I don't know if it'll be the Forum or something like that.
I could try to get credentials for that one.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the main event, though, I mean, maybe.
I don't know. See what else is going on that card.
I may have better things to do.
No, yeah, come on. You said, take my money. You would want that one.
Oh, I would, but that's one of those I would love to watch on DAZN in the comfort of my home. If that's the main event, and if they package, let's say, just throwing it out here, right, an Andrade Billy Joe Saunders main event on top of that, that's a really good doubleheader that I would want to get credentials for. I want to go to, but I'd rather just sit here and watch it at home if it's just that one. But anyways, I digress from that because we have to move on. Amanda Serrano defeating Ava Vorberger via the first round KO. Absolutely dominant, just obliterated her. There's not much to say about it. Kind of a weight bully scenario. Now she's moving back up and hopefully facing Katie Taylor in the near future. Chris Algieri getting a very dominant win against Daniel Gonzalez. I will say this. You can tell Chris Algieri either A, is older, or B, needs to get some rounds in him because he's had a long layoff. You can tell there's times he's rusty. There's times the wheels aren't working as good as they used to. But obviously, I mean, he still has talent. So good defensive boxer. And a Chris Algieri fight for what it is. And I'm always excited to see that sort of technical boxing.
Yeah, only thing I'll say about this, he did say the next fight he will actually have a full camp going into it. So maybe that's
hopefully
part of the reason that maybe made it a little bit harder work than it could have been. But yeah, I mean, it's just a name, I think, for DAZN. I don't know what plans they've got for him going forward. Obviously always these fighters say, I'm looking to get in title contention again and world titles, but there's only so many world titles out there, so we'll see. But
well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he could fight any of the top in the next 12 months, and that's a relevant fight because it's Chris Algieri. He's a guy that's fought relevant people, a guy that's fought champions, a guy that's been a champion at that division. A Regis Prograis post tournament, Josh Taylor post tournament. They could want him. A Jose Ramirez could maybe want him. Maurice Herker could obviously want a Chris Algieri fight. That could be something that they could make in the meantime since Linares is no longer there and for obvious reasons. Moving on from this card, we're going to briefly touch on, obviously, the ESPN Plus card. Bryant Jennings losing to Oscar Rivas in the 12th round TKO. A really kind of a boring fight until the finish, to be honest. I mean, Rivas was plodding forward. Bryant Jennings was jabbing, and both guys weren't really the most active guys, and their cardio kind of fell apart mid-fight. It wasn't the greatest fight, but that finish was devastating. I will say that. When Rivas decided, okay, he's hurt, let me go into fucking beast mode, that was scary to see. The way Jennings' head was bouncing back, and he was stuck on the ropes and just getting hit with a 12-piece combo out of nowhere from a tired Rivas. That was impressive. And now we just have another sort of heavyweight piece, so to speak. Oscar Rivas can now fight anyone that top 15, and it's not a laughingstock. It's a relevant fight. He's an undefeated Olympic Colombian heavy hitter. It sells itself against a lot of guys we talk about. We will talk about heavyweights coming up very shortly. But Rivas against Big Baby Miller, just saying, in a fantasy matchup I can make just to see what would happen, that's one I would want to see. Rob, did you see this fight and your thoughts on it?
I did. For about 34 minutes of it, I wish I didn't. I thought it was like going back in time to the shit era of heavy, the heavyweight division. And then, like you say, the finish, it was couldn't that have happened in round one or something? It was because
it did just seem like Rivas decided, okay, it's time now.
Yeah, like Ivan Drago's coach had shouted at him, when he's basically in Russian, kill him now, and then he's like, all right, fuck, quit playing with the guy now. If he dies, he dies. But yeah, no, it'd be interesting. I believe Rivas beat Pulev in the Olympics or something, or I believe in the amateurs. I don't know.
Something
I don't
like
know.
that. Yeah.
I don't know how we quite gauge this before. I've never been blown away by Jennings, particularly
Agreed.
that. Like, wow, he took Jennings apart. I mean, wow, the finish. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it would be interesting to see where this guy gets moving up the rankings and what he can do. But up to that point, was I that impressed with him? Not really. I wasn't impressed, but yeah, it'll be interesting. He's quite a unit, so we'll see what he could put together. But
it definitely has that like weightlifter physique, man. Like he could, like him and Joshua on a poster sells itself for the casual fan.
Yeah, it's a big poster.
Moving on, Shakur Stevenson picking up the 4th round TKO over Jesse Rosales. I will say this. I wasn't looking at this to be anything because it's just Jesse Rosales. But Shakur Stevenson, his composure has gotten better with time. And that's something that obviously should happen as a talented prospect is moving up in experience. But his ability to be composed on the inside, slip shots, parry shots, and deliver hard combinations that are all accurate, and he mixes up to the head and the body, it's truly impressive. Like his combination of composure with shot selection is, I think, his sort of bread and butter. Like that's what he does the best at, is being composed and knowing where to throw his best shots, when to throw those best shots, and when not to. And even vice versa. Like he has a great understanding of what his opponent will want to do, what his opponent's shot selection will be. Just has a good mind for the sport, in my opinion. Yes, he is hittable at times because he does stay in the pocket a little bit more now in his career, but that's what we sort of want. We wanted Shakur to sort of amp up the violence, amp up the aggression, and he's done that, and he's done it very well. Still a young guy. This was his 10th professional fight. He's only 21 years old. I'm really high on Shakur Stevenson. He's improving drastically fight by fight in ways I think we wanted Evan Haney to do a couple fights ago. Guys like others we wanted to do a while ago. Shakur is doing that and doing it while being pushed heavily by ESPN and Top Rank at a young age. The sky's the limit for this kid, honestly. Like Shakur could go a long ways, and I think now we're finally seeing the in-ring talent we always thought he could have. Rob, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, for sure. I've got Shakur up there with Teofimo Lopez as my two, maybe American standout prospects or whatever, however you want to call them.
If your top 3 prospects, and excluding like a guy like Joe Joyce, who's really old, right? And I think his level of fights, I think.
You mean like next gen, perhaps?
Yeah, next gen, right? If it's not Josh Kelly, Teofimo Lopez, and Shakur Stevenson, you're fucking up. You're clearly fucking up. Those 3 guys at 126, 135, and 147. Those guys could be very big fixtures of the next 10, 20 years, honestly.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think, getting back to Shakur, I think there was criticism or question marks over his power. But the last few fights, it's been like, whoa, maybe he's getting his manpower now. He's growing into it. Because young kid, but he seems to talk well. I know recently there was some incident and got into a little spot of trouble, perhaps. But he seems like a switched-on kid, and I agree. I think he looks fantastic and a great one for the future. And with, like, say, ESPN behind him, I could see him like rocketing past the likes of like a Devin Haney, because I think he's going to be slightly going the slow route, build. But Shakur, I think, is almost time to let him loose. It's not massively fast, not really like high pace, sending him up the rankings and titles just yet. But I can see him in some step up fights each time and really moving the needle.
I'll put it this way: I can see why he thinks he can fight Josh Warrington right now. I can see why he thinks that, right? I may not think that, but I can see why he thinks that, absolutely. He is, I get maybe, a couple more fights, a few more fights, like 2, 3, maybe 4 more fights He's fighting for a belt, in my opinion. He's fighting a Josh Warrington. He's fighting Oscar Valdez. He's fighting one of those guys. Because the thing is, even if he loses, he's still only going to be, 22 years old? At 15-0? Like, he has plenty of time to rebound and to do whatever he wants after that if he were to lose. But to be honest, he might not lose, especially against a guy like Oscar Valdez, who I think the wars he's been in and put himself in are coming back to haunt him at a very young age. Fugatti saying 126 is a vulnerable division. It's not really vulnerable because that top is really talented, like Leo Santa Cruz, Gary Russell Jr., Oscar Valdez, Josh Warrington. Those top 4 guys are very talented. Shakur doesn't beat any of them right now, but he might beat 1 or 2 of them very soon. But moving on, because we do have to move on, we're going to quickly run through this AJ, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder bullshit. Not story, but just bullshit, right? It's just the same old stuff. Tyson Fury come out here saying that he reveals, the text messages from him and Eddie, and how Eddie's not responding to him anymore. We have the FA now saying, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury can happen at Wembley. We're going to take away the ban on the soccer stadiums or football stadiums from Tyson Fury. So that seems like it's going to happen. Eddie Hearn keeps saying that Tyson Fury is calling him, blah, blah, blah. And we also have Eddie Hearn come out and saying, don't be surprised if Joshua is on DAZN in the U.S. in June. So we have a bunch of conflicting reporting, a bunch of conflicting talking points. Rob, do we care? Like, do we have to really talk about this for 30 minutes? I really hope we don't. Because
no, we don't.
I know not just you. I'm talking, of course, maybe for the audience as well. But there's nothing new has been said here. Like, honestly. My mind is very quickly. My mind is still, we get Wilder Fury rematch, and we get AJ versus Miller in the U.S., and White probably fights maybe a Klitschko. I think that's all still a realistic, probable outcome for those top 3 guys. Maybe a Brazil comes in for that Dillian White fight, because I think the WBC have now come out today or yesterday and said they're going to either rethink or whatever. I forget the phrasing they use, but reassess the process for the mandatory status of Brazil. So God knows what happens with Brazil and White. But those top 3 guys, come on, we all know what happens here. Let's be honest here. Regardless of what text messages are exposed, regardless of Eddie Hearn going on DAZN and saying that Miller's in the U.S., we know what's happening. We know. Rob, thoughts on this?
It's going to drop anytime soon. I haven't actually seen it yet, but an extended interview with Eddie Hearn is going to be on Sky Sports. But Eddie Hearn apparently in that interview has declared that he believes Dillian White has now received a good offer to rematch Anthony Joshua on April the 13th at Wembley, though Jarrell Miller is more realistic with his financial demands than White, Wilder and Fury. So, in line with what we're saying, I don't know, just little snippets coming out, that Wembley had lifted their ban on Fury, and it was like, why is that suddenly happened, Are they thinking maybe put some purse bids, or was the Joshua fight looking like it might happen, or the purse bids could, Eddie or someone big come in and make the fight in the UK? Because I don't think Frank Warren's necessarily going to win or get this fight in the UK. But yeah, it's looking like, the Wilder Fury 2 and Joshua with, TBA, but it just is. Now let me just squash a little something that I'm seeing in the chat. I was christened Robbie Hearn because apparently I'm the full-on Eddie Hearn fanboy, so my surname was changed by the American side of things to Robbie Hearn, and I've just sort of rolled with it. It's fine.
Hold on, very very quick. No, because apparently people are confused about this in the chat, and Fugatti is not helping. Damn it, Fugatti.
Of course he isn't.
Rob is not actually a cousin to Eddie Hearn. It is a joke, and I think it's a very clear joke. Why? because we're on YouTube with 1,000 subscribers and not on Matchroom or DAZN. Right? Like, come on. It's pretty obvious.
You think my cousin would hook me up a little better than this?
Right, you would think. Right, what an asshole.
Yeah. I'm the black sheep of the family. Don't want you anywhere near this.
Anyways, digress from that. Rob, I'll be honest. I didn't hear most of what you said because I was looking at the chat and kind of laughing.
No, I know.
Yeah, but I agree with most of what you say. Fuck it, why not?
Oh, you do? I didn't expect that.
Okay, then maybe I don't agree with it. I don't know.
No, I'm joking. But yeah, I just want some. Apparently we're going to find out this week the Joshua news. There's also apparently Usyk news coming real soon. A massive news.
Is Triple G news coming soon too?
It's either Triple G or that Klitschko news over on DAZN. I don't know. And I'm going to put it out there. I'm going for Usyk versus Klitschko.
I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. You said, I think, earlier today in the chat or yesterday in the chat. I don't know about that. I got to think about it more. I'm not like opposed to it, right? But it's one I definitely have not thought about, right? Of all the Usyk matchups we thought about heavyweight, Klitschko has been not on that list for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
because he just hasn't been fighting.
And 2-year retirement.
Yeah, so like I'm not against it. And plus, like putting on my promoter hat, like that would be a really fun fight to promote in Eastern Europe. Like just being honest, like Ukraine versus Ukraine. It's sort of a generational fight. In that way, the new generation versus the old generation of Ukrainian boxing. Both guys, massive Olympic pedigree. Like that could be in any stadium in like Germany and Eastern in Europe and fill it out, in my opinion, right? Like that could pull, like, I don't know the soccer stadium sizes or football stadium sizes in Germany. I know like Klitschko like commonly did like 50,000 seaters, but if there's a 90 or 100,000 seater in Germany, Usyk versus Klitschko has to be in that, in my opinion. And if they don't, it's a huge fucking misstep. But digressing from that, Rob, unless you want to talk about it.
Very quick, also on this April 13th date, there's talk of Dave Allen and Lucas Brown being on that undercard if that event goes ahead. Unless,
I like it.
Joshua's going off to New York and Dave Allen's holding down the Wembley date on his own, headlining against Lucas Brown. I'm joking. But apparently in Lucas Brown, looking at maybe Tom Little coming over here. Tom Little is like a tune-up. But I don't know. Yeah, so I'd get past Tom Little first. But
anyway,
interesting. But yeah, that's about it really. I think we're going to hear something real soon. And as we know, before we officially find out, usually one of the top writers or the Twitter guys get hold of this, and it comes out a day or two or the evening before and things like that. So we should know pretty soon. And this whole heavyweight saga can just chill for a little bit until one of them's fought, and it's who's next for Joshua or who's next for and it all starts up again. So in between time, take a vacation, taking some sun or something, relax.
And remember, people,
they're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Okay, it's all wolf tickets, people. Come on. If you don't know what that is, just Google it. Just Google wolf tickets. Let's go to callers. I know we have some more news, but we did have sort of a longer show today, so I do want to go to callers, and I know our callers talk for a very long time. They just do. I love them. But we got Gary, Santiago, and Jose in the lineup right now. They might eat up the whole hour. But call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you're international, you can call in via Skype now. Yes, that is true. I said it. Add or call Mixed Combat Radio on Skype. I'll be honest, if I don't see it, it's because it's not like in my eyesight to turn. So if I don't answer, or if I don't do anything, keep calling. It's okay. I am there. I see it. It's open. It's just I have to turn, and I don't like. That's a weird angle to turn. Digressing though, let's go to callers, Rob, because a lot of these callers keep the lights on, especially Santiago and Gary. Jose, not so much. He's still slacking. let's go Santiago. He's been waiting like over like the whole hour of the show. Shout out to Santiago, man. Shout out in LA. Santiago, how are you doing?
Doing good, dude. MLK Day, just here relaxing, listening to the show. And I gotta say, like, I think the biggest surprise of Saturday with the Showtime pay-per-view was how many people were still there trying to support Broner up until the very end, when one guy in the theater literally said, if he throws his hands up in the air, I've had it up. And the minute Broner did that, that guy just walked out the theater. He did not stay to hear the announcement. It was hands down the funniest thing I heard someone call out and have their own like situation reaffirmed. So that's something. Pacquiao did what he did. Broner did what he always does. And I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens with him. You know, he is 40. I'd imagine maybe one more fight, one more money fight at the very least, and then that's it. Career on a very long and legendary career for the senator from the Philippines. Very sad about what happened to Jorge Linares, the first round KO over a guy like Cesar Pablo Conner. I definitely think that he's at his end. I think one more fight, you know, going away fight, let him win, and then hang up the gloves. He's had a good career, 3-division world champion, got in a big fight with Lomachenko. He's got nothing to be ashamed of, and he's had a very proud career. Jennings losing to Oscar Rivas, complete shock too. I'm completely surprised how that went. And honestly, very astute comparison to that. It looked like one of his old days of the heavyweight division, which is saying something for Bryant Jennings, because Bryant Jennings back then would have probably beat the shit out of Bryant Jennings today. So we'll see where everyone else goes. I'm definitely excited to see Oscar Rivas. I hope to see him in bigger and better fights, and hopefully he can capitalize on this win. And like you, don't give a shit about what anybody says regarding the whole trinity that is Fury, Joshua, Wilder, until we get some kind of confirmations to the contrary. We all already know what's supposed to happen. That's pretty much all I have to say at this point. Anything you guys want to ask me, feel free to shoot. Otherwise, that's my call.
Thank you, Santiago, for the quick call. We do have actually quite a few callers today. Again, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you're international, Skype, add Mixed Combat Radio on Skype. We're going to go out to Canada. Where does Jose live in Canada? What city? Is it like...
from what I've heard, he might be on the streets right now.
That is definitely true. He might be on the streets. He might be in his car right now. Got kicked out of the house for going to Manny Pacquiao fight. Jose, how you doing?
Oh, hey, what's up, man? You know, this is the price of being a boxing fan, man. It's all good. You know, what was I gonna say? And speaking of such, man, like, I don't know why people are so hard on Broner, man. I thought he gave a great fight, man. I know people are gonna shit on him, and yeah, he doesn't let go as much as he should. But I found that in his Pacquiao fight, he actually did, you know, throw the leather more so than he did against Mikey Garcia. I mean, I don't think he won the fight, but I mean, I would have been okay with, like, you know, giving him a couple of more rounds, man. I think, you know, so to say that he only won 1 or 2 or 3 rounds, I think is a little bit unfair. You know, maybe he could have gotten 4, maybe 5, you know. I don't know. The draw's pushing it. But
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
You know?
I don't see 5.
A draw
Jose.
could have been an okay. It
No.
could have been okay.
No.
Or a draw would have been all right, you know?
No, it wouldn't have.
When he threw his hands in the air, man, I thought he had it. I thought that he had it, you know? But with the 12th round, maybe it would have. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I was just enjoying what he was doing. But I thought he did well, and he caught Manny with some nice counter punches. The rounds he lost much worse than the rounds he won, and they were obviously, you know, by a greater margin. But I mean, if you look at those close fights between Canelo and Triple G, it's funny how people can argue both sides of the case. But when it comes to Broner, no one's going to his defense, right? They all just think he's shit. But you know, I could see the case. He had some nice counter shots. You could say that he didn't get the volume of punches in some rounds, but he maybe got the more effective punch, you know? So, I don't know. Maybe you guys think I'm crazy, right?
Well, Jose, I do know you're a big Broner fan. So I know you have a innate bias when it comes to Broner fights, which is okay. Like some of us are.
When it comes to Broner, yeah, I'm biased, man. I like him, you know, and I feel bad for the kid, man. Like everyone's gonna shit on him. You know, it's too bad because he would have sold that Floyd Mayweather fight so good, man. Oh, that would have been a great fight. But
I've got to agree. I would love to see a Mayweather Broner build up. That would be fantastic.
And I will agree with you, Jose. If in some hypothetical world Broner beat Pacquiao on Saturday night, a Mayweather Broner fight would do massive numbers. It would.
Oh, it would be huge, right? But like, you know, having said that, man, Manny Pacquiao's back. Like, you know, if you agree that he won all those rounds, then if you see his volume of punching and you don't want to count any of those counter punches, which is fair, totally fair, then you could see that fight being like a 10, 11, 12 round sweep, right? So Manny did look tremendous in there, man. He did, but I don't know how he's going to do against Floyd. He's a little too greedy when he starts putting on that pressure, and it just kind of, I was just expecting a Marquez punch there, man. He just jumps in a little too much. So excited though for what Manny brings. I don't think anyone can watch that and not think that Manny can easily beat any of the young guns in the welterweight, right? Just like he can lose, but I still think he can win as well, man. So as per your boy Linares, you know, eventually all boxers and all boxing podcast hosts get exposed, man. And that was you, Matt.
That was.
You know,
that was.
Robbie fell victim.
Shots at me.
Robbie fell victim to Bellew, you know, to Bellew. It happens. Right?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does happen.
Bellew died by, suicide by cop. You know, he quit. He went in there, put his hands down, and got knocked out on purpose, like a coward. But at least Linares, like a good South American warrior, kept on getting up and up and up, and ultimately he got stopped, man. Kind of sad.
And yours is Broner that basically does the same thing. He just keeps his hand up, but don't, you know,
and gets
push towards the other guy.
Hey, to be fair though, his guy gets paid more than both our guys combined. So.
Oh, for sure. No, I don't know about that. Maybe he got $4 million quid.
You can ask Rob there too, man. He saw a little bit of sparring there from some decorated amateurs there in Vegas as well, so he can.
I did.
So you can see that later.
I saw a very Euro bum, as you would like to call it, guard. I saw you throw out a pretty snappy counter.
Wait, hold on. Have you seen the sparring of him and Mitty?
No, it was him and the Rockstar.
Oh, fuck that. I don't care about that. I watched the sparring of you and Mitty. Where's that sparring videotape?
Oh, did you see that? Oh, I was giving the peanut head I was giving him the shots, man. He was surprised.
Oh, you called him peanut head again?
We almost didn't make the fight because Mitty was sleeping, man. I think he was concussed, you know. So
Mitty was concussed.
You'll have to see that, but anyway, I don't want to make it all about me, man, like I usually try to do, right? So great show, boys. Glad to hear you guys covering Big AB, and like you said, Matt, like there's always going to be an interesting fight if AB's involved. So I mean, people can hate him, but he's kind of like, you know, this generation's Mayorga, you know?
Yes.
People hate him, and he says a lot of stupid shit, and he doesn't win the big fights, but people still want to see him. And Mayorga did win a couple of huge fights, man. So AB will hopefully still be able to do that. He's still relatively a young man when it comes to boxing. So let's see what he can do. Team AB, baby. That's all I got, boys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Oh, and
I'll go back to Jose. Sorry. What was that?
I was going to say, lastly, I'm going to make sure to contribute to Patreon as well, right? You guys are doing a good job. Keep it up, boys. Peace.
Thank you, Jose. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. I like the Mayorga comparison. I think people have started to make that comparison recently with Broner. I think it's a beautiful comparison. Though, to Mayorga's credit, he has, I think, 2 wins over Vernon Forrest. So, Broner still ain't at that level in terms of like actual like win value in terms of his resume. But in terms of that, like everyone hates him. He's that degenerate person in the sport. You know, he may not be smoking cigarettes, but he's making mixtapes and drinking effing or what's fucking P Diddy's. Fuck, what the fuck is that? God. Oh, it's gonna bug me. That's gonna really bug me. It's hip hop stuff. Anyways, digressing. We're moving on.
I just wanted to say, you know, he's got that whole Floyd thing going on.
Quickly, before I forget it, it's Ciroc. Ciroc. That's the vodka that P. Diddy.
Right. Okay. But yeah, he's kind of got that. Broner's got that Mayweather thing. People want to see him get knocked out, so or lose. You know, like he keeps doing. But you know, maybe like you know, imagine I don't know, Broner, Danny Garcia, something like that gets made. People are going to tune in for that. You know, it's just hoping Danny Garcia knocks him out or whatever. You know, he's just got that kind of character, and I think he obviously knows it. He plays on it, and yeah, people want to tune in for some bizarre reason.
Let's move on to Gary in Dallas. Gary, how you doing?
Fight week, baby.
Fight week. Keith Thurman. He's back.
Keith Thurman. You guys think it's going to happen, or is he going to have a last-minute injury?
No, it's going to happen. Stop putting that bad juju out there.
I heard he had ice on his elbows.
He's not going to call in sick because he's on his period or anything like that. Like, this fight's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We're getting this fight? Okay.
Gary, are we going to get Gary? Hold on. Are we going to get you not like running the mile right now on the track as you had your call? Like, what's happening right now? Are you running away from the cops?
Oh, I just yeah. Well, I mean, I don't like cops, so why would I?
That is true. That is true.
Promoters are like cops, you know. They're not all bad, but I just have to assume that I don't trust them. You know, that's just my perspective. Wow. Oh, Keith Thurman. I don't really hear anything to say about Keith Thurman. Manny Pacquiao. Boy, wait. Okay. Crawford and Spence are 1 and 2 in some order. Where do you put Pacquiao after that? Like, do you think he could beat Porter? Do you think he could beat Thurman? Where would you put him?
Me personally, I think Porter's maybe. I don't know whether he's a little bit too much for a 40-year-old Pacquiao right now. I wasn't, although it was a impressive to a point kind of dominant performance over Adrien Broner. I don't put a lot of stock into that really because I don't know. I think a lot of these welterweights watched Manny Pacquiao and thought, I'll have some of that. I think they saw something that I think they'd be good fights, but I think some of these guys would have Manny's number right now, personally. But you can ask Matt now he's back. He just had to duck out quickly. Matt, where'd you put, obviously 1 and 2, maybe Spence and Crawford? Where are you putting Manny Pacquiao in the list of welterweights right now?
I think it's interesting because there is a discussion to be had now, I think, with Manny Pacquiao. Where does he rate? Definitely, obviously, behind Spence, Crawford. I think at this point, realistically, you have to rate him behind Sean Porter as well.
Okay.
And, you know, Keith Thurman, if he comes in Saturday and he looks great, also behind Keith Thurman. But I'll be honest, I would pick Manny Pacquiao versus Danny Garcia. So, like,
I'd pick him against Sean Porter, too.
I think Sean Porter is that 50-50 fight. You know what I mean? And again, at this point, okay. I'm still going to rate Porter above Pacquiao at this point, but it's marginal, right? But Pacquiao's there. Pacquiao's arguably a top 5 welterweight again. So
I would say I would agree with okay, obviously Crawford, Spence, and that's 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that is 3 more welterweights I want to see again. Pacquiao. Are we going to call Kell Brook a welterweight? Because he's not saying that.
No.
He's a welterweight.
No, let's not mention Kell Brook yet. That's not.
Okay. Well, I would put him there with Thurman and Pacquiao, and then I would go to Porter. And then I think Benavidez or Ugas would beat Danny Garcia. I think Jamal James might be able to beat Danny Garcia. I don't think Danny Garcia is bad. I just think those guys are underrated. I think we've just gotten used to saying Garcia Porter, and we're forgetting about there's other welterweights who can give those guys a run. I don't know that I'd pick Porter against Benavidez. I mean, I probably would, but not definite.
Oh, really?
I mean, I think we just got used to this kind of 4-headed monster at the welterweight division, and no one's giving these other welterweights who are pretty good their credit.
Look, no. Here's the thing: you can definitely give like a Jose Benavidez, a Lamont Peterson, guys of that ilk, Jeff Horn, right?
Not Peterson.
You can You can definitely give those guys credit because they deserve it, but they're clearly a level below the names we're talking about.
I don't know about that. Like, okay, so Danny Garcia, who's not at 40, at 47, who is he beating? That's better than Ugas's resume, right? Because Ugas has got, those B-level guys, like Jamal James, Ray Robinson. He's got B-level guys. Who has Danny Garcia?
Those aren't B-level guys.
Better than those guys.
Those aren't B-level guys.
Whatever you want to call them, lower-level guys, decent fighters.
You don't think even a faded Robert Guerrero and Brandon Rios means more than fucking Ray Robinson in 2018? Really? Come on.
Okay, then let me ask you about because you said Guerrero. Okay, then where do you put Omar Figueroa in your list? Because he's the only man to stop Figueroa. He knocked him down like 8 times. How many times knocked him down? Like 6 or 8?
Stop Guerrero, right? You meant stop Guerrero, right?
What did I say, Brandon? Omar Figueroa stopped Guerrero. Yeah.
You said Figueroa stopped Figueroa. Like you repeat the name. That's okay.
Oh, that would be weird, right? That's his brother. That'd be strange. Yeah.
Omar's interesting because Omar's like he almost has that Keith Thurman issue where like he's not active enough, where it's hard to sort of gauge where Omar's at 147 because he hasn't been around. He was supposed to fight, wasn't it, Adrien Broner last year, and then he had the DUI.
And then he got the DWI.
Yeah. So I'll put it this way: Omar Figueroa, if he's active, is probably in that top 10 somewhere in the back half, right? Like 9, 8, 10. But he's not. So he's probably top 15, mainly because I just haven't seen him enough.
He beat DeMarco at 47 also, but I mean, Antonio DeMarco was never really a 47-pounder.
Yeah.
I think those are Omar Figueroa's only fights at 47. I think everything else is at 35. Like Ricky Burns is at 35, right?
No, wasn't Ricky Burns at 140?
Was it at 140? It might have been. I know he won his belt at 35. He's a lightweight champion. He's never a 140-pound champion. The only belt he's ever had is 135.
Didn't he miss weight for the Ricky Burns fight too? Like, didn't he have some issues with that fight? I'm trying to remember. That was a while ago now.
This was a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's like 2014, 2015, something like that.
Yeah, that was the start of PBC. Anyways, Gary, what else do you have to say?
Okay. You keep doing this. This is just triggering me. Like, you keep naming these prospects. You know I think Figueroa could beat Shakur Stevenson, and I hope you think that too after watching Stevenson's last performance. So when you name the top prospects, how come you never say Figueroa or Virgil Ortiz?
Well, first of all, I said top 3. Figueroa is definitely a top 5 prospect in my opinion. I just named 3 names. Sorry, I didn't name 5 or 7, so I didn't include all your guys. First off, Figueroa is at 122, not 126. Shakur Stevenson's at 126, so I don't think that either one beats each other at this point. They're not on that matchup is not on my radar. I think my thing with Brandon Figueroa now is that like he's almost not even a contender. Like, I mean, he's not a prospect; he's almost a contender at this point. So maybe I should rate him with that next gen title more so than prospect contender because right now he's not really a prospect anymore. Right? We have to sort of rate him as a contender. I feel like.
I guess so, but I mean, he's still only like 21.
No, but you're right. So, you're 100% right about that. Like next gen, and that's what we were saying earlier in the show is that like the next gen, because that's how we excluded Joe Joyce, the young guys. No, Brandon Figueroa absolutely belongs with those top 3 guys. Absolutely. Virgil Ortiz, I'm a little bit less high on Virgil Ortiz than you are. I think he has a really high base, but I don't think his ceiling is extremely high. But Brandon Figueroa is absolutely a talent. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. And I don't do it purposely. Sorry to answer your question. I don't do it purposely to trigger you, though that is funny.
Okay. All right, because every time we talk prospects, I always say those 2 guys, but it's all right. It's cool. So it's hypothetically, and Rob too, if Shakur Stevenson and Brandon Figueroa because Figueroa is 26, who would you pick I know it's not on your radar, but that's not hypothetical.
I pick Shakur.
That's a really good fight. I think that's a really good fight. Which would I pick? Shakur.
Why? Because ESPN says he's the best thing ever? And I like Shakur Stevenson. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a really talented fighter. But, okay. Figueroa destroys people. Did you see his last fight?
Yes.
He destroyed a higher level of competition. Like, he annihilates people. Okay.
He's definitely the more proven commodity. I'm not going to disagree with that. Though I think in a technical aspect, if you like analyze their games, Shakur Stevenson is the better boxer.
For sure. And I guess he has the power. Like, that was like kind of the thing we questioned about Shakur Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could he keep Figueroa off him? Could he keep Figueroa from mauling him? His power is pretty good. Those two left hands he landed, I mean, he's not a guy who's going to look for the knockout, but if it comes, it can come. And he certainly has enough power to stop guys from just coming in and mauling him.
And
right?
also, Gary, to your point of like, sort of stopping a guy like Brandon Figueroa from mauling him, the way Shakur Stevenson is, the way he is so composed on the inside, the way he can pick his shots on the inside, I think Brandon Figueroa is going to be jumping in there and he's going to get caught with a lot of shots on the inside that he's not seeing. I think Shakur Stevenson has the better shot selection than Brandon Figueroa.
And that's why we should make this fight. And that's why I'm calling out for this fight. Brandon Figueroa, who's ever listening, if Top Rank, if Bob Arum is listening, if PPC is listening, if Al's listening, Brandon Figueroa should fight Shakur Stevenson. And we should figure this out. At 124.
At 124.
And then, what do you think of this fight? Because I think this is an interesting fight. And there's actually two of them, but this is the first one that comes to mind. Adrien Broner versus Pablo Canelo.
I don't want that. I don't.
Why?
Why?
We're done with because it's a fun fight. Because we're done with Broner fighting the best guys, right? I mean, Broner against Regis Prograis or Josh Taylor. Like, no one gives him a shot in those fights, right?
Yeah.
Even I'm talking about a 40, right? Because a 47 he's definitely not in the conversation.
But see, I highly doubt he actually goes to 140. I'll be honest.
Who's he gonna beat at 47 though? Like all those names we talked about, Benavidez, Fugas, all those guys beat him too.
Of course, who's gonna go fight? He's gonna fight Brandon Rios, and then fight Danny Garcia afterwards. Like, no, that's what's gonna happen.
I got one for you.
You know it.
But it's also at 40. The Hebrew Hammer, Selden, Clea Selden versus Adrien Broner. Who do you got in that one? That's a fun fight where he could win, but it's automatically going to be fun.
Yeah, that's definitely a fun fight. I pick Broner in that. I think Selden's just not that talented. He is a walking punching bag in a lot of ways. But I see Broner uppercutting him with that fucking goofy ass 40s guard and just putting Selden out at some point. But yeah, I mean that's sort of the level of opponents that he needs to fight next and get a tune-up, get a win. A Victor Ortiz type. And then
maybe get a win. I don't know that he beat Canelo. Like, Canelo is right there with really good fighters. Like, you could argue that Canelo also beat Fury. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's much of a difference between Pablo Canelo and Adrien Broner. I think they're about the same.
You're probably right about that, but that's why the fight won't happen. And plus, it's just Pablo Canelo. Like, who gives a fuck about Pablo Canelo, right? No offense to Canelo out there, but you're just like, sorry. A Brandon Rios fight people care about. A Victor Ortiz fight. God, that could headline an FS1 card without a doubt and do great numbers. So that's
no pun intended. But doesn't Victor Ortiz have bigger problems than worrying about fighting? Doesn't he have like major legal issues that could end him up in jail for the rest of his life?
What am I forgetting? What am I missing here? He had the DUI issue a couple years ago.
No, Victor Ortiz got arrested for rape or sexual assault or something like that. And then he was supposed to fight John Molina Jr., and that fight was called off.
I thought he got like a DUI charge or something. You're probably right. Yeah.
DUI.
You might be right about that. I don't remember. But if that's the case, then yeah, Victor Ortiz probably not going to be involved here. No, I think Al Haym's going to go snatch Brandon Rios from DAZN and get Broner that tune-up fight. But Gary, anything else on the call?
That is all I got, Matt.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. We'll move on to 509. I believe this is Zorro in the chat. I could be wrong about it, but 509. Who is this Ray calling from?
No. This is Eddie. I'm on the chat. I'm on Aku.
Oh.
Aku 92 or something like that.
Oh, okay. What's up? What's up, Eddie? How you doing?
Good, man.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, man. I just want, the fights. I didn't really see. I was just watching the highlights most of the fights. I didn't really see them. The AB fight I saw though, and I think he's just getting. Sort. He's getting a lot of flack because he's not that good. Like, and you guys, it's not that he's overrated. It's just that you guys thought he was really that good when he was never an elite. He was never a fighter. And
Well, that's largely true. But I mean, he was promoted as an A-level fighter. Like heading into the Maidana fight, he was a 4-division champion. You know, like think how many 4-division champions can you name that aren't A-level guys in their prime?
Yeah, but with so many belts, like those guys that he beat, they pretty much didn't beat anyone. The guys that he beat, those champions, I think it was like just some random ass fighters.
You're absolutely right, but I'm just saying that he was promoted and pushed as that. So a lot of fans thought that because he was sold as that, and they got sold a fake bill of goods.
Yeah, he did. He basically fooled hella people because he's not entertaining. Like I've never seen an entertaining fight from Adrien Broner. The Madonna was entertaining because it was built because I thought AB was good, but it turns out he's not that good. He doesn't, and then the people that give him an excuse for him to be in bigger fights, like if you just let his hand go, I mean that story gets old. Like he doesn't let his hand go because he's not that good. But he's going to get knocked down once he lets his hands go.
I largely agree.
And then about the pay-per-views, like you're saying, like 500K. I think that's way too much. I don't think it's going to be around there. Because I was wondering how much did the Wilder and Fury fight do? I think it was like around 500K.
The Wilder Fury fight did 325K. And Wilder Fury were never on pay-per-view before. Fury, from my knowledge, has only main evented a couple times on U.S. television up into that fight. We're talking about Manny Pacquiao and Adrien Broner. Like the level of star power with Pacquiao and Broner is significantly more than even Wilder Fury.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because I think Pacquiao's shine he hasn't been fighting that consistent lately. He lost the horn. He's coming off a fight ago.
Well, he's coming off 2 wins.
AB, 2 fights. Yeah, he did get that knockout. It was on ESPN. I think it's gonna be around the same. I think it's gonna be around the same 300K. 500 might be. If they did, that's surprising. The AB really is a star. If they do 500K, then AB is like he's really sold the public.
And again, it's not just AB; it's the combination of AB and Pacquiao.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why like Wilder Fury, for first time being a debut pay-per-view headliners, right? They were able to do an adequate number is because of the matchup, the combination of the two, the build-up. Now, Pacquiao Broner may not have had the build-up, but it has the name combinations. It has Pacquiao Broner. Those two names trend on every metric that you could look at, whether it's Google Trends, search trends, metrics on YouTube, whatever it is, TV Twitter numbers, gate. Those guys are mega stars. They just are.
Yeah, but the Fury and Wilder, like I don't know, I don't know what the percentage was. Most of that was from hardcore fans because we knew that was the fight we all wanted to see. If you're a hardcore fan, I don't think you kind of knew with that fight that we saw. I think that's what people thought they were going to see. They were going to see a 12-round fight. maybe a knockdown for Pac. But it was about to be the same Broner that he fought against Mikey Porter and the other loss too. Who was it to? Oh, Madonna. But yeah, I wanted to ask you about the 160 division, and who you think of Saunders, Charlo, and Andrade? Who you think is who do you think are the contender? Who's like a pretender?
I think using those labels, I think Saunders and Charlo are contenders. I think Andrade's closer to a pretender status, but they're all legit talent. Like, I mean, Andrade may be a champion, but he's still maybe the 8th ranked or 7th ranked heavyweight in the world in terms of his skill level. But that's still being a top 10 fighter in the world, right? Like, that's still elite level.
Yeah, true.
But I don't think.
So you're saying they're elite? They're not on the Canelo, Jacobs, Triple G
absolutely.
Elite
Like, Andrade could be a Danny Garcia of that division.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I was thinking they're high jaws, but yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, they're still in the top 6, top 5. But it's just funny to me, like they all when people say Canelo's scared of them, and Jacobs and Triple G are scared of Charlo and Saunders. I laugh like every time. I'm like these guys haven't fought anybody. When they fight like a name that's somewhat recognizable, they go 12 rounds, or they get dropped. They get like Andrade got dropped. He got dropped by Vance twice, and he only lasted against Triple G 2 rounds with the same Vance. I find it funny.
True. I agree.
Crazy. True. I agree. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really I was a big Triple G fan, but yeah, and I used to not like Canelo, but what he's been doing, like I gotta give him respect. Like I'm a huge fan now because he fights the best, and I didn't think he was gonna fight this guy. I didn't think he was gonna fight Jacobs, and he chose to fight him, and I'm probably thinking he's gonna beat Jacobs.
I largely agree.
Well, that's pretty cool. Okay, yeah, that was my call. I just had that question.
Well, thanks
for taking my call.
Thank you for the call. I think it was Aku 92 or 92 Aku. I think it was his name. Free Fights TV. Next up, how you doing?
Yo. Hold on. Wait, literally 3 seconds.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to stream live on YouTube. But first off, I got to say some stuff. It's nothing bad. It's actually good. First of all, the guy who said, poor Adrien, it was a draw, and he said he was enjoying what Adrien was doing. Were you also enjoying smoking the crack? Second of all, this is something else I got to say. I have a dream that one day corrupt boxing judges will be gone. I have a dream that one day Ryan Garcia will lose. I have a dream that one day AB will let his hands go. I have a dream that Paulie Malignaggi will admit he's gay. Second of all, this is so fucking frustrating to watch AB fight because Marco said he punched him so hard in the 12th round. He's the only one who dropped Broner. He's the only one who dropped Porter. Broner's the only one who dropped him. Second of all, I got crack on my donut. My donut and got my hair cut. And I'm gonna stream live. Just can you wait 10 seconds?
Yes, we can wait.
I'm be gone for. All right, 10 seconds. I'm back. Anyway, second of all, I'm gonna stream live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, YouTube? It's Free Fights TV, and we doing the interview with one of my favorite YouTube channels, MCRNet. They just got 1,000 subscribers. Make sure y'all subscribe to them. I'll edit the video and put the link in the description to them. And we gonna ask them a couple questions about the Pacquiao Broner fight. I was just going over, and also, AB could have won, but he had a couple good moments, but he was countering with single shots what he knew he wasn't gonna do. And I must spit some bars. I'm gonna sing the race freestyle. I know this is gonna be good, but this is what I gotta do to get the views. Call me AB, man, I'm out here living tragic. My last check 8 figures when I cashed it. Watch how you rap and get caught and turn into Casper. My niggas trappers, but they really into rapping. Fuck Nevada, I ain't going to that state. With the warrant still riding with the K. Even though they say got it on tape. The 9 all charges in the judge face.
Bars. That's called motherfucking bars.
Chicken with a fit like Obey. Fuck around and turn a 2 to a 8. My niggas out here some J's every day. The Captain Roach out shooting right in them face. You see the strap, you better do what I say. Like a Kardashian, I'm robbing over Wayne. My maid back got a floor less than plate. I keep 244, you get 88. Ayy. Y'all spam bars in the chat. Spam up. All right, second of all, Keith Thurman is fighting. And who's he fighting again?
I don't know. Was there a question there?
Thurman?
Are you talking about
fighting Josecito Lopez?
I know if you're rapping still.
Yeah, who's yeah, I'm not rapping anymore, but who's Keith Thurman fighting again?
Josecito Lopez.
All right, I got Keith Thurman by unanimous decision. And y'all can subscribe to me, Free Fights TV. Please do, because I'm thirsty as hell for some subscribers. And, Danny Garcia is fighting Adrien. First of all, mismatch. Adrien beat Adrien Granados. Danny Garcia's fighting him. That's going to be a walkover for Danny. Do you watch UFC?
Yes.
All right. First of all, early stoppage, my God. You know people pay $70.
Free fights. I will say this. I don't mean to cut you off,
Yeah.
but I will do a separate show for the UFC on ESPN Plus card. I will do a separate show. Don't worry about that, okay?
All right. Oh, what's the second show called?
Well, it's on this same channel. Like, it'll be in the same feed. Don't worry. Same subscription.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Also, do y'all want me to sing the McDonald's rap song? The song Kobe Person?
No.
Y'all want me to sing it?
No, we're good. Free Fights TV, have a great day. Thank you for the call. Please make sure you get your homework done and go to school. Rob.
OMG. I am so excited.
Yeah. Let's get out of here, man. I need to, I don't know, man. I need some coffee. I definitely did not have enough coffee this morning. Rob, final thoughts. Where can people find you? We need to get out of here.
They can find me, I don't know, taking a cold shower or walking. That was fire right there.
Walking around aimlessly like, oh man, I can never hear those type of bars again.
And luckily, you can find that on iTunes. You can find that on Spotify. You'll be able to find that here right on the playback. Hit that thumbs up because not only are we bringing you boxing,
we're bringing you bars, motherfucker, bars.
We're bringing you that kind of content too, and it's all good. It's just, shout out to the kid. He's hustling. But yeah, I hope my kid stays in school and does a good job. But yeah, hopefully big news coming this week. Matt, where you gone? You've bailed on me.
Yo, that Free Fights, I hope you know, like, we appreciate you calling in. I hope you know that. I hope you know it's only because, like, hey, you're 11 years old and you are saying some wild shit, man. Take that for what it is. But God bless you, man. Again, please do your homework. You don't want your mom to be mad at you like the other day. So please do your homework. Stay in school. Sorry, Rob, I cut you off. That was just too great.
Right.
This is a great show, guys. This, like Rob said, this is the type of content we deliver at MCR.net. Yes. Okay, so smash the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that stuff. Rob, back to you.
No, yeah, big news coming soon, hopefully, with Joshua, who he's fighting. We're hearing Usyk news. We're hearing stuff dropping on DAZN soon. Yeah, I think 2019, hopefully, it's, just got started, really, I think. And, long may it continue. We get some really good fights. We can build the show. So, like Matt said, share the shows, hit the thumbs up, sign up to Patreon, just another, just $1 a month minimum. You get extra shows and stuff like that. So, yeah, wow, love that.
Yeah, that was
we
great.
had a nice cold opening, and yeah, I'm cold leaving.
Man, like James says in the chat, Lil Tay ain't got shit on Free Fights TV. That is the God's honest truth there. Anyways, have a great day, everyone. Hope you guys enjoy your Monday. Be back.
Read James Burrow's comment in the chat.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. This is just a great show. Yes, you only get this type of content here. Have a great day. Be back either later today or tomorrow. I might just come back tomorrow. I might need the rest of the day off from that one. Oh, Rob, okay. I'll come back later.
Work.
You've
been promising MMA for a long time now. You deliver on that promise.
What do you mean promising MMA for a long time now? What do you mean? A day? A day.
Shows.
No, not 3 shows. No, stop disparaging me here. Stop being disingenuous.
All right.
I definitely pushed back the preview show till like the last minute, right? But I only said, hey, I might do an MMA show on Sunday. That obviously did not happen. So it's Monday. I'm only a day off. So another day wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And again, I mean, most of our audience is boxing fans, so it's not like it's a priority right now, unfortunately. It makes me sad. Makes me sad. But anyways, digressing. I might be back later tonight. Rob has sort of peer pressured me, I feel like. It might be later tonight. Like, not right now, not immediate, but later tonight. I'll be back. YouTube here. Mixed Combat Radio, all platforms. Have a great day. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Peace.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?